I love them.
Maya. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to ask about them. We're going to get a signal from them. Oh, I didn't know if you caught that, sorry. Seriously.
I didn't know she got a new haircut.
I know, that's why I didn't recognize her. I'm so used to her having long hair.
Hine matovu manayim, Shabbat ahim gam yahad. Hine matovu manayim, Shabbat ahim gam yahad. Page 4. Hine matov, Shabbat ahim gam yahad. Tovu manayim, Shabbat yod gam yahad. Hine tovu manayim, Shabbat adim gam yahad. Hine matov, Shabbat yod gam yahad.
Welcome everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So I'm Charlie. I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Sarah. I also use she, her pronouns.
We will be leading you tonight in our prayers. So throughout the night when we say rise in body or in spirit, you can stand up, but you might want to experiment with a different way of rising. We are trying to be an inclusive congregation, and some folks might not be able to stand or might not be comfortable to stand. So if you want to experiment tonight with maybe imagining a string pulling you straighter, or maybe rising with your gaze or playing around with it, you are invited to do that.
It's interesting that rising in, like thinking of different ways to rise can make it much more intentional, that rising, instead of just doing kind of doing it out of habit. So that's something we'd like to encourage everyone to do. If you're comfortable with it. If you're not, go with what you're comfortable with. It's Shabbat.
We are now going to turn to page 6, and we'll do the reading at the top of the page by Rabbi Chaim Stern as a call and response.
Okay. We Jews have come together to strengthen our bonds with our people Israel.
Like Jews in generations past, we celebrate the grandeur of creation.
Like Jews of every age, we echo our people's ancient call for justice.
We are Jews, but each of us is unique. We stand apart and alone with differing feelings and insights.
And yet, we are not entirely alone and separate, for we are the children of one people and one heritage. We are one in search of life's meaning.
All of us have known despair and exaltation. All have borne burdens.
All have had moments of weakness and times of strength. All sing songs of sorrow and of love.
Our congregation is a stronghold of hope and inspiration, teaching us the holiness of life, inspiring us a love for all humanity.
In this congregation, in the presence of Adonai, may our hearts be purified to worship together in sincerity and truth. Ravid, would you please lead us in the reading on page, or read the reading on page 7? The Rabbi Naomi Lovely. Thank you.
I long to change the world, but I rarely appreciate things as they are. I know how to give, but I don't always know how to receive. I know how to keep busy, but I don't always know how to be still. I talk, but I don't always listen. I look, but I don't always see. I yearn to succeed, but I often forget what is truly important. Teach me God to slow down. May this Shabbat revive me. May it lead me to wisdom, to holiness, to peace, and to you.
Thank you.
Okay. So next we're going to actually go backwards and go to Ma Tovu on page 5.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael.
So in English, that's, how good are your tents, Jacob, your dwelling place is Israel, and I overwhelmed by your loving kindness. I accidentally said a part we didn't sing. It's just the first line, but that's fine. Okay, so next we have, we're going to read the reading on page 8 by Mordecai Kaplan. And actually, someone, Val or Deb, would someone from your family read that?
An artist cannot be continually wielding brush. Artists must stop at times in their painting to freshen their vision of the object, the meaning of which they wish to express on canvas.
Living is also an art. Shabbat represents those moments when we pause in our brushwork to renew our vision. Having done so, we take ourselves to our painting with clarified vision and renewed energy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to light candles, and it's the tradition at Bet Tikvah to invite anyone who has a simcha this month up to light the candles for us. So since I'm in charge of putting together the email, I know some people have anniversaries and some people have birthdays. But oh, hold on. You can share your simcha or keep it to yourself.
Anniversary? What year? 34.
Yeah. Mazel tov.
I cut my hair.
It's a big thing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'chad l'kner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, Shabbat has now begun. And the next reading we're going to do is Blessed Be on page 11. Blessed be she who kindles the flames of creation. Blessed be he who sparks the imagination. Blessed be they who weave threads of light throughout the generations, who turn our longing for peace into illumination.
Now we'll turn to page 13 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei
Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi-melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Okay, and now that we have welcomed the Shabbat angels, we're going to turn to page 16 for Lecha Dodi. We're going to sing verses 1, 2, 3, 5, and then 9. Okay. Are you going to start the tune for this one?
I'm blanking on it. The Reform tune.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el echad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem tiferet tekilah. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Mikdash melech u'lecha, kumikor ha'meracha, nerosh mekedem nesucha, sochase b'machal tefillah. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Mikdash melech irlecha, kumitzimi tochacha, Kavach Shabbat be'amek belcha, be'amekol alaychem la. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Hitoreri, kiva oret, kumi ori, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alech nigla. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Oh, shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha u'b'tzala, tov emuneam segula, bo'ichala. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat kabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
You may be seated. We're now going to turn to page 19 for Tzaddik Katamar. Pass that one to you.
Harmonization. They sound wonderful. Okay, and then the next one we're going to be reading the Leonard Nimoy poem on page 21, and we're going to be going around the room. Maya, would you mind starting us off?
Absolutely. I've walked alone seeking answers.
I have lived alone chasing dreams.
I have tried to prove my worth to worthless judges.
I have cried my pain silent screams.
I have been sometimes served a touch of kindness.
I have wandered in golden fields of grace.
I have been released by honest laughter.
I have touched the western wall of the holy place.
I have soared alone above the cloud head.
I have walked the deep dark tunnels of the earth.
I have dined with mystics and with prophets.
I have been sought after as a teacher.
Nathan?
I have been refused the world. I have heard the thunder blast of sunrise.
I have watched the final touch of death.
I have played the rules set by the master.
Though often I didn't understand the game.
I have worn more masks than I can remember.
I have been a face without a name.
And when, like you, I ask the final question.
Who
on
won?
earth am I supposed to be?
I always come full circle to the answer.
Me. Only me. Always me. That number worked out very nicely. I know, that was fascinating.
I also think this reading has been in this prayer book since like version 1. So we have witnessed something new today.
Yeah. Should we?
Yeah.
Let's do a quick Shehechiyanu.
Quickly.
Shehechiyanu, V'kiyamanu, V'hechiyanu, Lasman Hazeh.
Us so that we could come to this moment. Even if it's a bit silly, it's still a special moment.
We have a handout today. If you or your neighbor did not get one, I think there's maybe one more copy up here. Turn to the second page. We're going to do Yedid Nefesh, which is a classic part of Kabbalat Shabbat.
I do have my own. So.
Yedid Nefesh, Avarahaman, Meshokata, El Retzona, Yaruvata, Kemaya, Yishtachaveh, Ye'arav, Yedidutav, Venovetsuv, Vehotam.
La da 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 da.
Nashricholat Avata Anaena Refanala Beharola Lanoam Siva Astikaze Bet Tikvah Behaitala Shichat Olam V'tiyehemu rachamecha v'chusna ben ohava ki ze kama nifsaf lirod betiferet uzah Ana Eli Machad Libi Tushana Ve'al Titzalam Yigale Uvna Ufros Chavivale Etzukat Shalecha Ta'ir Eretz Mikilodach Nagila V'nismecha Bach Ma'her Ahuv Kiva Moed V'chaneni Imei Olam Yadai-dai-dai-dai, 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 yadai-dai-dai-dai,
Thank you. We next have so we have now ended the Kabbalat Shabbat portion of the service, and we are transitioning into Mariv, or the evening service. So to mark that transition, we're going to say Hatzi Kaddish.
Page 32.
Yes.
You can rise in body or spirit. Yikara. Is this a song? Or?
Yes, this is song.
Yikara v'yikara shemei rabba.
Amen.
Ve'amadi v'achirte v'yamlich malchute.
V'chayechol yomecha u'chayete kol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'bizman karim Amen Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam le'olam Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitraman v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudasha brivu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirvata tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram v'hama v'yimeru. Amen.
Okay, thank you. If you rose, you can now seat. Be seated. Actually, no, I lied. I'm sorry. We're doing Barhu next, which is kind of since we have a minyan, we can say this aloud. And it's kind of this recognition. It's on page, so you can find it.
25.
It's on page 25, but it's this recognition that instead of all being individuals who just happen to be in the same room doing the same thing, we are all doing this praying thing together as a group. Baruch Adonai HaBarak.
Baruch Adonai HaBarak Le'olam Va'ed.
Okay. Baruch. Oh yeah. Baruch Adonai HaBarak Le'olam Va'ed. Okay. Now we can be seated.
We're now going to turn back to the extra handout. We're going to read Twilight People, which is a blessing about the time between day and evening. And then we're going to all say Ma'ariv together in Hebrew afterwards. So let's read the English and the Hebrew all together.
So I think that means that we're going to say this. We're then going to say not the entire paragraph that's in the book together, but we're going to say this little bit that's on the sheet together. That's from the traditional blessing. So don't worry.
Yeah,
We're not doing that much Hebrew right now.
Above the line on the first page of your handout.
Yes. So we're saying this all together?
Yeah.
Okay.
As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles, many genders and none. We are in between roles, at the intersection of histories or between place and place. We are crisscross paths of memory and destination, streaks of light swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither, and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Thanks for bearing with us through some typos.
Thank you. Are we not all stakes of light?
And now Sarah and I are going to read Ahavat Olam, which is just the next poem on this handout.
Yes. These are the two blessings for the Shema. The first one for, this one's specific to the evening one. The one in the morning is about how the sun is coming up, understandably. But this one's about kind of this specific relationship that the Jewish people have with God. And so, this poem.
And one last note, we'll invite you all to read the prayer at the end, the Baruch atah Adonai, in both Hebrew and then English.
Which is on the second page. It was hard fitting it all on one page and being economical with paper. Okay. We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves.
We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by unending love.
We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by unending love.
Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are arms, fingers, and the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by unending love. Blessed are you, beloved one, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. All right, we'll now turn to the Shema, which is on page 26.
We'll be chanting this together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Ubechol me'odecha, v'hayu hadarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzvecha, hayom aladonecha, v'shinata levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shitecha u'beitecha, uvlechtecha b'derech, u'shoftecha u'kumecha, Ukchatam leod al yadecha, v'hayu letotachot beinenecha, uchtaltam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'isharecha.
Okay, and then we're going to go straight into singing Mi Hamocha. If you know the Debbie Friedman version, that's the one we're doing. Mi hamocha v'harim Adonai, mi hamocha le'etak ha'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Al chutecha hanu hanecha, v'cheyam l'shem Moshe u'Miriam, ze'elianu ve'amru, Amru Adonai Elohim le'olam ad. Adonai Elohim le'olam ad. And then, Mariasha, are you up to leading Hashkivenu? Yeah?
If you want to, yeah.
Yeah.
Here or there is fine, either way.
Einu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, lehamidenu, la'omrenu lechayim, ufasaleinu, sukat shlomecha, v'etavnenu, v'etotovat milfanecha, hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'amidenu, le'omrenu lechayim, upasalenu, sukat shlomecha, ve'etagnenu, ve'totovat milfanecha, hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu, ve'shomrenu lechayim, upasalenu, sukat shlomecha, ve'etagnenu. Ve'etagnenu.
Thanks, Mariasha.
Thank you. And that's the blessing for God to watch over us as we enter the very dangerous nighttime and to sleep soundly and securely.
We'll now turn to page 30, and we'll all sing Vishamru together. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat L'asot et ha-Shabbat L'dorotam berit olam B'nei Yisrael oti leolam oti leolam Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat L'asot et ha-Shabbat L'dorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim et ha'aretz Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat L'asot et ha-Shabbat L'dorotam berit olam Uvayom ha-shivi'i Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat L'asot et ha-Shabbat L'dorotam berit olam.
Okay, and now we have Hatzi Kaddish because we're going to be going into the Amida, which is the kind of silent personal prayer section. We have the Amida from pages, we have 3 Amidot because we like variety and all couldn't agree on one. In the prayer book from starting on page 34. But you don't need to read any of them. This is just a time for silent connection with something bigger than yourself, whatever that may be. And we say Hatzi Kaddish, and you can rise, or traditionally you can rise or not. There are different traditions. So rise if that is your tradition, if you are able, if you feel like it.
Should we do this together?
Yep.
Yikadol v'yikadash shemei Rabba Ve'alma divrach hirtei ve'amlik malchutei V'hayet od v'yomecha Uv'hayet kol beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uv'izman kariv V'yimeru Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach Le'olam le'omaya Yiparach v'yishabach Yipar v'yitramam v'yinaseh V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalel Shmei Kedusha Rehu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirvata Tu shmechata v'nechemata Damiram be'olam v'yimeru Amen.
We'll sing together Oseh Shalom on page 42. Oseh Shalom b'mama, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel.
We have it in the English, but not in the Hebrew.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm the one giving the drash tonight. Okay. And for probably the first time in my ever leading services, I actually wrote it out instead of just doing a sketch of an outline. So, for the past several months, I've been spending a lot of my time thinking about community and learning what it takes to build a meaningful one with supportive relationships. I thought I'd share a little bit of what I've learned and see if it resonates with you and kind of spark some ideas in your minds. In her book, How We Show Up, Reclaiming Family, Friendship, and Community, author and activist Mia Birdsong encourages us to not try and reinvent the wheel when it comes to creating meaningful relationships and communities in modern times, but to look at how our ancestors have historically done community and to see what is applicable to us in our modern lives. For the sake of time, this is only supposed to be 10 minutes. In examining Judaism, I'm just going to talk about the minyan. There are many important Jewish communal things that don't require a minyan, particularly things that have historically been done by women. But for the sake of simplicity, I will limit myself. So, what is a minyan? These days, in egalitarian spaces, a minyan can simply be defined as 10 Jewish adults. Historically, and in Orthodox spaces, a minyan is made up of 10 adult Jewish men. Putting aside the obvious objections and questions the traditional definition brings up, as much as I'd like to explore why only men, and what is a man anyway, let's focus on one thing. That's a lot of people. If you're thinking about only men making up a minyan, how many households is that? How many families is that? Well, if you're thinking in terms of a traditional cishet household, it's 10 minimum. But if we're thinking about teenagers as halakhic adults, we can maybe reduce that down to like 5, 6, if we have big families. That's a lot of people. And when you think about the fact that not every single member of a minyan, of a community will be able to attend every single event that needs a minyan, you're going to need backups too. That's a lot of people. That's a community. So with that in mind, what do we need a minyan to do, halakhically? We can argue about whether it's binding or not, like, later. So appropriately, I came up with a list of 10 things. So 1, saying any version of Kaddish, so the prayer that divides up the sections of service, and then there's a special version that can be said at the end of a prayer service, plus there's the one that's said by mourners. So 2, saying Baruch Hu, that's the prayer before the Shema that we said, that kind of announces we're all praying as a group. You can't do that if you only have 9 people. 3, reading the Torah and Haftorah aloud with the blessings. 4, saying the priestly blessing. That's the one that starts, may the Lord bless you and keep you. 5, saying the 13 attributes of mercy. This is the prayer that's said a lot during the high holidays that goes, Adonai, Adonai, Rahum, Vahanu. You need a minyan to say that. Yes. So 6 is saying the Sheva Brachot, or 7 blessings of a wedding. They're special blessings specifically for a marriage. You can get married without saying a Sheva Brachot. You technically just need 2 unrelated witnesses, not even a rabbi, to get married. But it's not ideal, and it's kind of sad if you can't. 7, in the week following the wedding, you can say the Sheva Brachot every single day. So people will hold parties every single day in the week following their wedding to celebrate it. But you do need a minyan every single time you say it. So people use this as a way to travel and celebrate with people who weren't able to be at the actual wedding. 8, saying Kaddish at a levaya, a burial. You don't need to say Kaddish when you bury someone, but it's very sad and quite tragic if you can't. 9, saying mourner's Kaddish. So in the 11 months after the death of a close family member, a mourner is expected to recite it every single day. And then 10, saying Birkat Hagamel. It's a prayer that thanks God for letting you pass through a potentially life-threatening situation and come out on the other side. So broadly, we can categorize all of these events into 3 groups, and I'm going to work backwards. The first group are sad, difficult things. Death, mourning, surviving danger, trauma. This is the most obvious. We need others to catch us when we fall, to come alongside us and help us survive big, awful things. Less obviously, this means that we need a community where we can be vulnerable and show weakness. We need to be able to safely express that we are struggling and feel safe accepting support, and maybe even asking for it sometimes. The second group are celebrations. We need community that can share our joy. And queer people know that a joyful, accepting response to our joy isn't necessarily guaranteed. We need people who can celebrate our triumphs with. We need people who we can celebrate our triumphs with, and who will celebrate us. The third and final group are things that are particularly kadosh, like holy, separated. Judaism seems to say that we need to have a certain level of community before we can access particular holy things, like a Torah scroll being read or the priestly blessing being said. We cannot do Judaism fully without community. And traditionally, although not at Bet Tikvah, these are things that are required to be done daily. Prayer, tri-weekly, Torah reading weekly, the priestly blessing in Ashkenazi communities, it's said on Shabbat. Annually, the 13 attributes of mercy, although we say it a lot that one time we say it annually. Ritually, we need to be continuously connected to community. So, our tradition says that community is important. We need community in order to survive, celebrate, and access important parts of our life. Okay, how do we do that? Good question, and not one I have an answer to. According to Mia Birdsong's book that I referenced earlier, the key to authentic community is vulnerability. But in order for people to be able to be vulnerable in a community, you need safety. And to cultivate safety, the community needs to have a culture of accountability. How do we do this at Bet Tikvah? Again, I don't know. Maybe ask me for ideas in a few months after I've read some more books. I'm currently waiting on Rabbi Daniel Rottenberg's Repentance and Repair at the library. But the good news is that I don't need to come up with these answers myself, and I shouldn't. That's what community is for. Shabbat shalom. Okay. We're now on page, this is in folder of binder, Misha Bayrock.
It's actually on page 49 in the updated Siddur.
Okay.
So does anyone want, I'll just go around the room, I think, this way. And you can share names of anyone who needs healing. You'd like us to
And
pray
you
for.
can also type them in the chat on Zoom.
Thank you.
Andrew Goldstein is my uncle. Jack and Sandy Goldstein, my grandparents.
Yes.
Scott Schreiber. Our nephew.
Mo Angelos and Ann Savekovich.
David Cass. Joan Sharp, Arlene Sharp.
Too many to name, but they're in my thoughts.
Oh, yes, Zoom. Lael Dennis.
Cheryl, John, James Shealy.
Okay.
Feel free to call anyone else out if you think of them.
Yes.
Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberak imotenu mekor habracha. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Okay, so we're going to next say Kaddish Shalem on page 50. This is the Kaddish that is kind of the we're done praying Kaddish, and then we pray some more. But it has an extra line that it's basically the mourner's Kaddish, but it has an extra line asking God to accept the prayers and pleas. So we're just going to read this in Hebrew. So,
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrat hirutei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayehon v'yomechon v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'bizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam umei amaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'ynaseh, Yitadar v'yitaleb v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'rihun. Le'ela minkol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nehemata, damiran v'amal v'yimru amen.
Tikabal Solhon al Kol Yisrael, Kadam Amuhon
Divishmaya v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'mav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen.
Okay.
We'll now turn to Aleinu on page 54. Please rise, and we'll, could we have 2 volunteers to open the ark, please? Maya? Anyone else? Awesome. Thanks,
Maya and
Elaine.
Elaine, thank you.
You may be seated. So this one is you, the George Odell.
Okay.
We're going to turn to page 57, and Sarah's going to read us the George Odell poem on the top.
We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair and in temptation and in need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do this alone. We need one another in the hour of our successes, when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us.
Is Julie here for the next? We were going to have, the people who we asked to read our next poem are not here. So if anyone wants to volunteer to read, we're going to go to the
Handout?
like.
Also, it might be worth skipping for the time check because it is past 8:30 already.
Okay,
Oh.
thank you. Let's skip that then.
Yeah. You can read it to yourself. It's very nice.
We were going to read Family Friend, so if you want to read that to yourself or after the service, you can. So we'll move on to Mourner's Kaddish on page 62. If anyone has yard sites or anyone they're currently observing Shloshim or anything else for that they'd like to say Mourner's Kaddish for, you may say their names now.
Also, at Bet Tikvah, some people have a tradition of saying Mourner's Kaddish even when they're not in mourning, since not everyone who has died has someone to say Kaddish for them. And then other people don't. So whatever your tradition is, whatever you're most comfortable with, if you want to join in or not, that is an option for you. And I do have the art site list from the email. Does anyone have, or I'll say this and then we can, if anyone has names to add. So Naomi H., grandparent of Dina H., Solomon P., grandfather of Deb P., Carol W., mother of Beth W., Bill C., Maureen R., Margaret P., mother of Lael G. Any other names?
The yard site for my mother, Ruth Schmatz, and my good friend, Nora J., and also Julia Willebrand, just died about a week ago.
Thank you.
Molly Nichols.
Betty Lindenberg.
And even the names that were not said out loud, there's many people we can all hold tonight and say Mourner's Kaddish for them as well. And they're just as important as the names we said aloud. So please rise for Embody Your Spirit for page 62.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divra kirtei, ve'amlich malchutei, ve'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'lizman kariv, limru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam umei amaya. Yitbarach, yishtabach, yipa'ar, yitramam, yitnaseh, Vitadar, Vitaleh, Vitalel, Shmei Kedusha, Priyahu, Le'elam, Minkol Birkata, Beshirata, Tushbechata, Benechemata, Damiram, Be'alma, Limru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Ve'al Yishlo Tevel, V'imru Amen. Shalom V'imru Mal. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu ve'al Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
Okay.
Michelle, you may be seated. And Michelle is going to read us the poem I Have a Garden on page 15.
And then we'll do announcements.
I have a garden which I love. Once in a while it looks perfect. All the water, feeding, pruning, and love add up to a moment of beauty. Then I think, if only I could keep it this way, preserve this moment forever. But my garden is alive. Time and seasons bring changes. Living things must change. A life is like a garden. Perfect moments can be had, but not preserved, except in memory. I am a living thing which must change. If I can accept the changes, I can accept myself. And when I accept myself, I can enjoy the beauty of the changes in the garden of my life.
Thank you.
Okay, announcements. Does anyone have announcements? Yes, Elaine.
If this service excited you and you were happy to be here and you'd like to lead a service, also, please contact me. You can do it by yourself, or we can set you up with a co-leader, or you can find your own co-leader. It does not matter. But we're happy to have everyone participate.
Yes.
As much as they desire.
Yes. Yes, please lead. Yes.
This Sunday, there's going to be a song circle at 9:30 till 10:30 in the morning, sponsored by Ratzon. Bring a song to share. You don't have a song to share, just come and learn songs, and it will be at Whiteman Street Park.
Wonderful.
I wanted to thank both the all, Sarah and Charlie, for leading tonight's services. It was very nice. Honestly, I feel like anytime Sarah helps lead a service or leads a service, I get to learn a lot about the structure of the service. I appreciate all the energy that everyone has brought to this, because I know that some people always bring in an energy to the different songs, which is greatly appreciated.
Yes. Okay.
I think I saw someone else.
Yes, Val.
Oh, I just want to thank you guys too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you want to learn more about the structure of the service, there's a class that Sarah, or like a study group that
Yes.
Sarah is leading, and is next meeting.
It is next meeting on the 8th. It is Monday evenings at 7 p.m. It's a class because I am preparing slides, but it's more like it's me. I don't have any formal training. So it's a study group. We're first going to look at the study of the service. I kind of want to not just teach what, but also why, so people can organize in their mind, like, why do the prayers go in this order, and make sense of it, so that you can like emotionally connect with it. And then we can talk about like the fun controversies and the stuff that's been, no, it's cool, I promise. But yeah, so that's Mondays at 7 p.m. It's on Zoom, and there is a link in the email that was sent out this month. We also have, what are the other announcements? One of the announcements I had was so the people who are really involved in kind of keeping Bet Tikvah moving would really like it if we could do more marketing, but like spreading the word and be more visible on social media. The problem is that none of us have the capacity to add that to our plates right now. So if you, like Bet Tikvah, want to get more involved, that's kind of a need we have. And if that's something you think you could fill, that would be lovely. And you can speak to me, Elaine, Kaden, Ravid. Yeah.
If you want to get more involved in running this, also we have Open Forum that happens on 2 Sundays from now?
Yes, it happens the second Sunday of the month. So yes, this is a Friday without a Sunday in front of it. So it's not next Sunday, it's the Sunday after. But yes, it's an hour-long meeting starting at 7 p.m. The Zoom link is in the email that was sent out. And we kind of just run things. It can be boring sometimes, and then other times it can be really fun, and we can plan events and also get to talk about like what Bet Tikvah is and will be, which I think is cool. All
right. So we have one last song, and then we can gather for Kiddush, I think in the hall. Is it in the hall where it usually is? Awesome. Page 70 for Ein Keloheinu. And since I'm conscious of the time, maybe we do a snappy one? Does that sound?
Yes.
So upbeat one? Cool. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemokeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemokeinu, Mi Kemoshienu. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Eloheinu, no del Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Zuhiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha et Torah Basamim.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.